How you doing today?
Doing good.
Okay.
Doing good.
What's your name?
I'm Steve.
Steve, let me ask you a question. What's your thoughts on the afterlife? What do you think is going to happen to you and I when we die?
We're dead.
That that's all?
That's it.
We go in the ground and that's it?
Yeah, we were born of the stars, and there we shall return, and I think that's quite beautiful.
Okay. Well, let me ask you something. You think so you believe the scientific, are you an atheist or an agnostic?
Well, I mean,
Do you know the difference?
yes, I do.
Okay.
Actually, I do. I would say that I am a God. I don't know. I would say that probably I'm an atheist.
Okay, so you believe the scientific impossibility that nothing created everything?
Well, that would be the same thing as saying God created everything,
Well,
because there
if
was
you have
nothing before God, and so that would be the exact same
exactly,
thing.
if God, if well, nothing, if there's nothing, nothing can't create anything. If you look at
Exactly.
everything, even the van you're sitting in, if I were to tell you
But
this
there was
van
no.
fell from the
See,
sky
but
for
wait,
billions of
wait.
years,
That's not what science says. It doesn't say nothing created. Something was created out of nothing. There was something.
okay,
There absolutely was.
so
That's just a misinformation
okay,
on your part.
so something created everything. Is that what you're
From
saying?
well, from it came
Okay.
everything.
So are you
The thing is that energy and mass cannot be destroyed or created.
okay?
So there
So
always was energy and mass.
okay. So are you an agnostic or an atheist?
I just said I think I'm probably an atheist.
Okay. Well, do you think I can make you backslide?
No, there'd be no possible
Okay.
way. Look,
When
the
yeah.
problem is that what you're relying your information on is a roughly less than 2,000-year-old book, compiled from numerous different sources, put together by way different people from very different cultures into one concise book, and trying to mold your view around that. Science didn't even get created until 400 years ago, so there can be no science in the Bible because it didn't exist. So I mean that's basically what you're dealing with. It doesn't run in contradiction to any religious view. Um, it just is science doesn't hold to a hard and fast rule. The whole principle of science, it's Occam's razor. The simplest answer generally tends to be the truth, and the simplest answer in most cases is not that everything is created by a supreme being. That's a pretty radical view. But beyond that, it's not. It goes even beyond that. Science holds theories; they don't hold facts. They always go, "Oh, this is a fact. That's a fact. Fact. No, gravity is a fact, but it's really just a theory. We can't prove that gravity actually exists, but we know it does because it works. so,
Exactly.
but if something came along better, a better understanding of how it worked, then the science community would change that. Whereas with a
Okay,
religious view, it
so back
adheres
to
to a
back to the
dogma.
law of gravity. You wouldn't jump out of an airplane at 25,000 feet because you would be violating the law of gravity. That
Well,
would be
I would have a
insane to
parachute
do
for
that.
sure.
Well,
I
yeah,
would certainly have a parachute.
exactly. You'd put a parachute on because it would relieve the fear, is what
Well,
it
it's
would
not so
do.
much the fear. It's just I would be afraid to jump out of an
Well,
airplane
yeah, at
with a
25
parachute.
because you know what the law of gravity is going to do to you. You're going to hit the ground 120 miles an hour in your face.
Yeah, terminal velocity. And
Pretty
there
much.
been some people that have survived it, but it's pretty rare.
So, have you heard the law of sin and death? Have you heard about that law?
Oh yeah, I've read the Bible. I've read
Oh,
your book.
okay.
I've read it a couple of times,
So,
cover to cover. Try reading it from page one to the end.
oh,
Don't
okay.
pick and choose.
All right. So, let me ask you something. So, again, we'll get back to that atheist question, but how do you know when you look at this building behind us, you know there's a builder. You don't have to see the builder to know there's
It's a
a
whole different thing than the planet. These things came together, coalesced over billions and billions and billions of years. It's 13 billion years is what their estimate is. I think that's probably a loose estimate. Some people say 15 billion. We can't know for certain. But every time you look in a telescope, you're looking back in time, and you can see how it's evolved over time. And we can see pretty far back now. we can see pretty
Okay,
far back.
when we see a building, we know there's a builder. When you see a painting, even though the painter died 300
those
years
aren't the
ago,
same things. They're great
you know there's a
analogies, and they're
painter.
really cool and they're really cool to try to sway an opinion, but they don't hold water as a real
Okay.
theory.
Well,
that's not like a
let's
theory.
go back. So
Somebody built this car.
yeah, well, you know that it didn't drop from the sky over billions of years.
Well,
But
no,
back
but
to
that
that
would
question.
be impossible, and you don't find that anywhere in the universe. You could look at any other planet with our own solar system. You don't see buildings just sitting there. Now, if we did, and there was no sign of any human life ever or any advanced life being there, then you might have an argument. But otherwise, no.
Let's just say if there was a God and if he did exist, do you think he would be angry with you or happy with you right now?
I think he'd be happy with me
Okay.
because he gave us free will.
Okay.
And I would have a question for God. There's a worm in Africa that is it's an egg laid by a fly, and it only lays flies in human being eyes, and it really only affects children, but it blinds them for life. And I would ask God, why did you create that fly?
Well, I'm still trying to figure out what mosquitoes are for, but
well,
anyway.
There
anyways,
you go.
back to that question. So you think God's happy with you right now? If you
Oh,
think
he's
you're a good
ecstatic.
person?
He gave us free will. That has
So-
nothing
so-
to do with it. That's on like the first page.
Yeah.
You have free will.
So you're a good person?
I think I'm a better person than most.
Okay. How many lies have you told in your whole life?
Probably the average of
Oh,
any human being.
Exactly. What do you call someone who tells lies?
Well, they would be a liar.
Yep.
But you know what? The thing is that everybody lies, but there are different levels of lies. It's like the difference between constitutional law and a statute or a code. God doesn't say you can't lie. It doesn't. There's not one of the 10 Commandments. Lying is bad. There are a lot of reasons to lie. You lie to someone who's dying in their last minute and say, hey, you're going to be okay. Is that a lie? Yes, it's absolutely a lie. What are you trying to do? You're trying to comfort someone in their time of need. But is that the same thing as telling someone that, you're going to scratch their back when you're really stealing from them? No, that's not the same thing at all.
Have you ever stolen anything, even if it was small, irrespective of the value when you were a kid?
Oh yeah, kids do that. That's why we don't let them have. That's why they don't have the rights to be an adult.
Exactly. So what do you call someone who steals things? What do you call someone who steals things?
Well, if they're a child, then I call them a child.
Well, let's say an
If they're
adult goes. Let's
then
say
I call them an
exactly. Adult goes into this coat factory behind us and steals, 50 coats. Wouldn't you call that theft?
Yeah, and you know what else I'd call theft is if a company like that was, like stealing from their customers, be it through trickery in the way they word their refund policy or whatever. That's theft too. There's a whole bunch of different levels of theft.
Okay.
Look, we're imperfect beings. We're animals, and animals steal. Ferrets steal. It's not like it's ununique to,
Okay,
to
so
human existence.
What would you? So we went through. So you said you're a lying thief, correct?
And as you are.
Exactly. Have you ever used God's name in vain? OMG in a text, or you hit your finger with a hammer and
God
you
is
say.
not his name, so no, I never have.
So you haven't said OMG ever?
Oh, I've said "Oh my God" many
Okay.
times, but God's not his name, so I'm not using the Lord's name in vain.
Well, that's blasphemy when you do that.
No,
Punishable
it's
by
not.
death
That's
in the
not
Old
God's
Testament.
name. God is a title. That is not his name. What's God's name? Let me ask you a question. What's God's name?
He's got a lot of
Name
names.
them.
He's
Right,
even
roll
got.
them off. There's
I'm not
7 or
going to
8.
go through all of them. It'll take me all day long.
No,
He's even
well,
got.
there's only 7 or 8
According to
names.
Revelation 19, he has a name that only he knows. So he
Well,
knows
there
there's
you
a
go.
lot
So-
of names.
So then none of us could have blasphemed. Because we
Is
don't know
it-
his name by that rationale.
This is the one that got me, and it'll
yeah,
get
too.
you. Let me tell you.
Okay.
Jesus said, "Whoever looks upon a woman to lust after her has already committed adultery
Oh,
with her
wow.
in his heart." You ever looked at a woman with lust?
Oh, absolutely. But Jesus Christ never existed, so I don't care what he said.
Have you had sex outside of marriage?
I've never been married.
So, what's your name?
My name is Steve.
Nice to meet you, Steve. My name's Michael. By your own admission, I'm not even judging you. I just walked
Sure
you
you
through
are.
4 of the 10 commandments.
Sure you are.
I'm not.
No, you didn't really walk me through 4 of the 10 commandments. You've altered them to fit your argument in the moment. That's not walking me through the 10 commandments. Shall we call them up and read them?
That's 4 of them. So,
See, since
by
I
your
wasn't
own
married,
admission-
I cannot have committed adultery. Adultery is the act of having sex with someone who is married.
have
If it
you
is not
ever
your
looked at
significant other.
a pornographic picture?
Fuck yeah, everybody has.
Okay, so please watch your language. Now I'm gonna have to delete that off of YouTube. so.
See, no, you don't have to, because language. Look, there are very few words that everyone understands, and I don't believe you should eliminate any of them from the conversation.
So, Steve, by your own admission, I'm not judging you. Back to that question.
Sure
you
you
just
are.
told me you're a lying thief, a blasphemer, and an adulterer
Sure you
at
are.
heart.
Sure you are judging me. That's exactly what that is. You know what? Here's the deal. There's parts of the Bible that you haven't touched at all. I suggest you go back and read some of them, especially Christ's message. Try to focus on what he says about your own faith and how you should present yourself. I think you are stepping over the line in so many ways if you
Well-
really look at Christ's message. Here's the deal. As I've read Christ's message and